Hello again. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I wanted to not so much revisit this as just talk about this a little more. We're looking in the book of Mark, and this is chapter 4, and we're looking at verses 35 through 41, the end of the chapter, where Jesus is on the boat. Let me just read these verses to you again. On that day, when evening had come, and he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." Because he had spoken to the crowd in parables, and he had been teaching them, but he explained everything to his disciples privately. And leaving the crowd, so that was what had happened just previously. So here they go, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear, and said to one another, Who then is this that even wind and sea obey him?" So there's several things here, and one I want to mention is that they have Jesus with them. He's with them in the boat. Now he's sleeping. He's just sleeping, taking a nap. He is, however you want to look at that, he's resting. There's nothing to worry about because he's there. You've got Jesus with you. There's no problem. You shouldn't be worried. You shouldn't be afraid. And that's part of his point to them. But here they have this great storm. Now they do have this great storm. This is a problem now, and they need to be able to do something about this. Pardon me, I just want to make sure that I'm not making a lot of noise with the mic. But they need to do something about this. The boat was already filling, you'll notice there in verse 37. So they're scared, and I guess they were scared of the circumstances, what was going on, even though they had Jesus with them. Well, but at least, we may give them a hard time and say that they, that they shouldn't have been afraid and all that. But look at it this way, too. Who did they go to? They went to Jesus. That's who they went to. They went to Jesus, and they said, "Hey, do you not care that we're perishing? We're going down, man. We're going down." And it's understandable, they were scared. And Jesus, he rebukes the wind and the sea. "Peace, be still." And there was a great calm. So even though we can say, yeah, they didn't have enough faith, and they failed to to have faith and be what's the right word, to be calm and believe, and they failed to understand that they were going to be okay anyway, that Jesus was with them. By the same token, though, notice who they went to. They went to Jesus, they turned to Jesus, and he calmed the storm, and he helped them out of that situation. Now, I say that because a lot of times, the way I'm trying to, the reason I'm saying that way and bringing it up that way is that that's the way we are, even as Christians, a lot of times. Now, if you're not a Christian too, but even if you are a Christian, a lot of times we're going through our lives, and then we have a storm, we have a huge problem or issue, and it's a big problem, and maybe it does hurt our faith, maybe it does make us a little afraid, and maybe we do worry about things regarding that. And so who do we turn to? Who should we turn to? Jesus. We should turn to Jesus. We should go to Jesus and say, "Please help us. Help us. Help us to get out of this. Help us to have faith. Help our faith." There's an occurrence in the Gospels where a guy just says, help my unbelief, help strengthen my faith. And that's what we should do when we have our problems, our storms, and maybe we get like here, they just got, here the boat is filling with water and they're scared, and it's just becoming, more than they can handle in their own mind and in their own selves, and they turn to the one who can help them, who they know can help them, and he's just napping over there anyway. He knows everything's going to be okay. And that's kind of funny to think about. It is, but it's fair to understand that, yeah, everything's going to be okay. God is in control. The Lord will take care of us. Everything will be all right. We need to do what we can do, and it will be okay. In this case, though, when you have a storm, when you have a really horrible storm, and maybe you don't know what else to do, I understand that. I've had problems where I got to a point where I did everything I knew to do. I didn't know what else to do, and I have to turn to, actually we should turn to the Lord to begin with. We should always be praying and asking for His help every day, but nonetheless, we should always do what we can do and do as much as we can. And when we hit that point where there's nothing else we can do, make sure you pray and just trust in Him, trust in the Lord. He's in control. Everything's going to work out, and it may not work out in the time we want it, depending on what we're going through. It may take a little while before everything settles back down and you get the peace be still, but it's going to happen. You're going to get it. It's just a fact that that's going to happen. I don't have any doubt of that. That's the way it is. So, and here, it's funny too that even after He says, "Why are you so afraid? You still have no faith?" Then they were feared with great fear. They were afraid of Him, in a way, because they said, "Well, who then is this that He rebukes the wind and the sea?" But you notice they turned to Him because they thought He could help them. But then when He does help them, it kind of scares them a little bit. That's how much power He had. That's how... And they were still surprised. They're like, wow, He just told that storm to shut up and go away. And so that scared them a little bit. You know what I mean? So they had some fears, and we do too. We have some fears. We have some worries, some anxieties, but Jesus can help with those. Jesus can help with those things. Turn to Jesus. Turn to the Lord when you're in that storm. And He will help you. And like I said, not every storm passes as quickly as others. Some go by faster than others. But we have to believe and remember that the Lord is in control and that He's got it all taken care of. And He may just be napping over in the boat, but that doesn't mean He's not with us. He's still with us. He cares about us, and He's going to pop up at the appropriate time and take care of whatever that is. I don't mean that to sound bad in any way. I mean that in a very good way. Our timing is not always God's timing, and that's just a fact. I tend to believe that things that happen and have come about in my life have always worked out to my benefit, just as the Word says, and we're going to see that when we get back in the epistles. I believe that's always worked out that way, even at times when maybe I didn't believe as good as I should have. Maybe I was not even as good as these guys, So, anyway, that's just a little something to think about. Just a little, I wouldn't even know if I would call this a lesson, just so much as let's pay a little closer attention to this and think about this and apply this in our lives. When we're having those storms. Remember you have Jesus with you. Okay, and that in itself is comforting. I mean, He says plainly that He would never leave us. Let me find that here. Just a minute here. At the very end of the book of Matthew, in chapter 28, verse 20, the last part of that says, "And behold, I am with you always, to the end of the age." So... and the end of the age is not here. So He is still with us always. Though, honestly, He says, "I am with you always." So, when we go to heaven, He will be with us too then. So, there we go. So I just wanted to remind you of that, and just mention that in case you are going through the storms of life, which we all are. It seems like everyone has something going on all the time. Just remember, you have Jesus there with you. Don't be afraid to wake him up and ask for his help. He's definitely willing to do so. You notice everywhere he goes, he's healing people, casting out demons, helping people. That's Jesus. That's our Lord. So don't be afraid to ask for that help. Don't be afraid to rouse him up for you, to help you with the storm. He will do it. Okay? All right. That was all. Just wanted to make sure we covered that a little bit more, and wanted to kind of reinforce that point there. So thank you very much for listening. God bless you.